Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of A Handful of Hope. Today, I am so happy and grateful to have Jacque with us today, who is a mindset coach with an expertise in gratitude. She teaches her clients how to incorporate a gratitude practice into their daily routine. She feels it is crucial to living their best life. She's a published author in Oola for Women, a #1 bestseller on Barnes & Noble. In this book, she writes about how, with gratitude, she healed her heart tissue. In her spare time, she is a regional ambassador for GoalFriends. Her passion is designing custom jewelry for her brand, Jacque Christine Designs. Jacque, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jesse. I'm really excited.
Jacque, I was telling you beforehand, I've done quite a few of these interviews over the last little bit of time, and I've yet to meet one person who said that they have healed their heart tissue. What exactly does that mean?
So after I turned 50, I had a lot of stress going on, but I thought I've got this. You know, we all have stress in our life, and like I've handled it. It's good. It's good. And we all grow up with traumas. None of us get out of our childhood without them, or our adulthood. I mean, it's just life. But I ended up in the ER, and then ended up in the hospital, and was diagnosed with Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, which is broken heart syndrome. It kills a lot of people, mostly women. And it didn't shut my heart all the way down, but half of my heart was not beating. Um,
Wow.
and so about 6 months later, I went through a lot of things, but about 6 months later, I went to the doctor, and he's like, Jacque, part of your heart tissue is dead. It's about the size of a quarter. You'll live a long life. It's no big deal. And intuitively, I knew that wasn't the truth. Intuitively, I was told, don't listen to them. You can heal yourself. Other people have healed themselves. And I started doing a light healing process, and I try to tie it to something I do every day. Like some people like brushing their teeth or washing their hands. I decided to do it in the shower because nobody was bothering me. No one talks to me. And a year later, I went in to have an echocardiogram medical test, and my doctor came in and said, I don't know how to tell you this. It's not possible. It hasn't been in any medical journal, but your heart tissue is completely healed.
Wow. So just to be clear, one of the primary causes, or the primary cause of it, is stress.
Stress hormones. We all produce stress hormones in our body in 3 different ways.
And that's primarily from like traumas, from our perception of the external events, those kinds of things. And then
Yeah.
you did something. So when you're saying this, doing this like light healing, what does that look like? Is that a practice? Is that a routine? Is it a ritual? Is it meditation? What is that exactly?
I think it's all of those things. Um, someone, I'm 55 now, so it was when I found out that I had healed that I was 51. And a couple years ago, they talk about meditation, and I am not one to like sit and go and just be quiet and not have any thoughts. I've tried it. I can sit for an hour. I did it 3 days in a row. I have no thoughts.
Huh.
But I'm like, I thought in meditation you're supposed to get a download. Like, give me some
Yeah.
information. What am I supposed to do? I'm that kind of personality. Um, but I have been told that what I do, I close my eyes and I envision the entire thing. I envision light coming from the very top of the heavens and come down into my body. And there's a process, and I swirl it around. Um, if you'd like to download it, it's on my website, jacquebook.com. And you just wait about 10 seconds and it'll pop up and say, would you like, to bring more healing into your life? And you just put your email in and it just automatically goes out to you, and everybody could try it at home. I believe that other people can do it, but you have to believe it. That's part of it.
God, that's so incredible. And I think it's so timely because there is such, I mean, there's no, on normal circumstances, there's an extraordinary amount of stress and anxiety and fear in the world. And right now, at the time of this recording, it's April 21st, 2020. We're right in the midst of I think in California, we're going on our 5th week and being locked down, shelter in place, quarantining, staying at home.
Yeah.
And during this time, you've called this, or you're referring to this period as the pause, the great pause. During this time of the great pause, there's so many people who are experiencing stress, trauma, and to hear that there's a way that they could start not only coping with it, but healing from it.
Right.
That's so incredibly powerful. What are some things that you would encourage people to do? Like, I think having that as a framework And if people really wanted to look at this time as an opportunity to better themselves, what are some things you would suggest for people to do to improve their mental and emotional health?
Um, I think gratitude. For me, I start my day off every day, and there's this space where you're asleep and then you're starting to wake up. But before you've opened your eyes or before you speak to anybody, to me, there's like this magical special sauce space. And during that time, I think of 5 things that I'm grateful for. And I'm like everybody else. Sometimes I am not feeling very grateful. I mean, I feel like I have a lot and I'm a grateful person, but I'm just, in a space. And you can be grateful for that you have a bed to sleep on, or that you had a floor to sleep on, or that you woke up today, or that you had a pair of slippers to wear. I mean, it can be as basic as you want, or you can be grateful for that you have a job. Right now, some people do not have their jobs, but they're grateful that they have food, or they're grateful that they have hot running water. They're grateful that there's birds chirping outside the window. You can be grateful for things. You can be grateful for feelings. You can be grateful for friends. But most importantly for me, I try to think of 5 different things every day. Now, after a year or two, probably they'll kind of coerce or cross over, but I feel like it puts gratitude, it's science-based that it is now changing our neurons and rewiring our brain. So if we can change our thoughts and rewire our brain, we actually can choose to be grateful and choose to be happy. And that is actually an energy that we resonate at. Love and gratitude are the highest energies that you can resonate at. Some of them are up here, love and gratitude. The ones at your ankles are pretty low energy. And with the law of attraction, if you're not familiar with it, I suggest you go look it up. You can Google Jack Canfield, Law of Attraction. He's one of my great mentors. And we attract whatever our energy is. So we want to make sure that we keep our energy at a high level. So everyone and thing around us, we're attracting at that level. Because if you're kind of, oh God, what's his name? Eeyore from I Love Winnie the Pooh. And Eeyore was always
Bother.
I don't know, it's not a good day. He's that energy at your ankles. Well, when you're in that space feeling that way, you are going to start attracting everything at that energy level. So you have to be careful. And honestly, Jesse, it sounds really trite. It's a choice. It is a choice. And once you figure out how you can flip the switch of your brain and flip the switch of choosing for something to bother you and something to not bother you, if you're in a really difficult space, you're not going to understand what I'm saying right now. But if, for instance, my husband and I were having an argument one day, and we have been married almost 29 years. We've been together a really long time, been through a lot of things. And one day he said something to me and I got so mad, like an unusual amount of mad for whatever the thing was that he said or did. Right. And I'm just like, that's interesting. And I sat down in a chair and I'm like, why am I so mad? Because whatever he said or did can't make me feel this way. Only I can make me feel this way. And whatever it was that happened, I don't even remember. I just remember this feeling of being so angry and reactive and, everything. And I was just like, Jackie, use your tools. You know that you get to respond and react however you want. And you could just all of a sudden let that go off of you and go, that's interesting. That was a weird feeling, but I'm not going to be mad at anymore. And Jesse, it instantly left my body. Like it melted out of all my cells. I can't explain it to someone who doesn't understand, but it's a choice for all of us.
Jackie, can we expand on that a little bit? Because I think that right now, one of my theories that's going on here is we have a lot of people who are in relationships that are experiencing different relationship dynamics, right?
Yeah.
We know statistically in the US that divorce rates for first marriages are like 51%, second marriages it's like 65, third it's 76 or something like that. And that's under normal circumstances where relationships are usually you have a 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. relationship, you leave, go to work. Then you have a 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. relationship where you might be watching TV, doing something social, and then a weekend relationship kind of. And for many people now, they're in a 24/7 relationship, which isn't necessarily maybe what they signed up for. So there might be more conflict in the household than normal. There might be more
Yes.
people's emotions are heightened, and they might be finding that they're even strong couples are having more conflict. When
I
you
think everybody's having conflict. I
yeah,
mean, realistically.
and this is why I want to dive into what you said, because yeah, I think you're right. Everybody is. So when you were going through that with your husband, were you in the middle of it where you actually took that time to sit down and identify to yourself and say, like, wow, this is interesting, I'm going through it? It was in the middle of it.
Yes. Yes.
Really?
I left the room. I didn't stay in the room with him. I left the room.
And so
I
was that something?
probably stormed out of the room, if we're honest.
Okay. So you did have an exit where it was like a storm, but were you saying kind of time out, or was more of one of those things where it's like the argument hit the apex, you storm out? Because I'm asking because I want people to really pay attention to this, to recognize that arguments, conflict, it doesn't have to run the normal route of we have to go until someone is proven wrong and you've proven yourself right. It doesn't
Correct.
have to go the route to where the people that you love and care about are left in tears and hurt and upset. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to go a route where the person who you're supposed to be your partner, your people that you're supposed to come together, you're now turning away from one another.
Right.
And what you said is so powerful, to actually have that thought and be able to self-assess. So for someone who's never done that before, or doesn't even realize this is the first time they're thinking, wait, I could actually stop. How do they even begin to develop that skill set?
I think first it's understanding that you can. Once you know something, you can't unknow it.
Hmm.
So once you understand that you actually can make a different choice in an action and a reaction. And I think it's really important as you talk about arguments, it's not about a winner or a loser. A lot of people think that. A lot of people want to win. I need you to understand what I'm saying, and I need you to know it's right. That's not
Hmm.
really life or realistic. That is not the good stability for a good relationship. I'll say that. So I think maybe start observing. Like if you or your partner are getting really angry, and I can say, my partner has been angry through this last 5 weeks. He has a restaurant, it's currently closed. He has never had more than 2 weeks off when we took a trip to Europe that he wasn't at work, talking work, planning work, making lists. And about week 3, he just was like, he just didn't know what to do with
Hmm.
himself. He loves to play golf. All the golf clubs are closed. Super, we're very social people. We have people over for dinner. That's not happening. And he did get angry. And I think it's important that when your partner gets angry, your roommate gets angry, it doesn't have to be your spouse, someone you're living with, your parents, whatever, to like take deep breaths are so important. Like take a deep breath, kind of pause for a second. Even if they're still talking, you still can have this moment where you take a deep breath and pause and understand that you don't have to argue back. It actually takes 2 people who are frustrated or angry to have an argument.
Hmm.
If one of you stays in a neutral position, and if you have to say in your head over and over again, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to fight, I am calm, I'm in a peaceful place in your head, like they don't even have to know it. But if you do that and breathe and sit back in your chair, let your body relax and actually say those things in your mind, I want you all to test it, because you'll be amazed the other person starts taking a breath and relaxing too,
Yeah.
because it's that energy thing again,
Yeah.
right? Like they're arguing and you're like, well, you should have done this, and you should have done the dishwasher. I'm just making up silly stuff, right? Just to get the point across. But
But that's usually
it's
how it
that,
goes, right?
well, some of them,
Yeah.
it's that energy is like a punch to you, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, you should have, and you should have, and you should have. Well, if this person is like I'm over here neutral, well, you should have, well, you should have, well, you should have. Well, after a while, they kind of go, Why is she not responding?
Huh.
Why is she not giving me any negative energy back?
Hmm.
You know, it's super important to understand, E plus R equals O, which you and I know really, really well. There's an event that happens. I always used to say, like, you run into Starbucks, not anymore. You run into Starbucks, grab a coffee, you run into a meeting, you get in your car, you start to back up, and boom, someone hits your car. And you're like, okay, now I'm gonna be late to work. I had this meeting. I'm gonna be late. Like, all the thoughts that go through your head, right? You get out of the car and you have a lot of, so that's the event. And then there's the outcome. You really want the outcome to be nice. The outcome could be horrible. The person could be cussing at you, but the secret is in that response. So E plus R equals O. So the R is how you respond when you get out of the car. Hey, are you okay? Hey, do you have insurance? So do I. Hey, let's just nobody was hurt. The cars are drivable. It's not a big deal. Let's just exchange this thing. That's why we have insurance. And everybody goes along their way, versus when I get out of the car and I'm like, oh my God, you jerk, you got coffee all over my nice new pants and I was late to a meeting. Like, you start yelling at them. That response, that outcome of how that little situation could completely blow up. And it's the same in an argument. It's the same in, being stuck for, I've been stuck, staying home and keeping everybody safe. I try to reframe all my words, because words become things. So make sure you think good things, because they're all going to become things someday. So feed it good. Do your words and feed your brain good things.
Let's expand on that a little bit. Feed your brain good things. I was having this conversation earlier about, a lot of us are spending a lot of time watching the news, consuming social media, and we're doing that because maybe we don't have a reason. We're trying to stay informed. We're starting to stay educated. We're trying to stay up to date. The byproduct with it for some of us is that when we get on those things, a lot of what we're feeding our brain is maybe a lot of emotionally charged opinions, biased opinions, and there's consequences with that, right? It's interesting. I saw one study, and I haven't dove into it, but talking about sleep consequences to people who are consuming social media right before they go to bed. Yeah. And it's interesting. The ones who aren't sleep better. The ones who are, especially depending on how much time they're sleeping, worse. You think about you're scanning through like this and you're just getting snapshots of information. And especially right now, there's a lot of really beautiful stuff on there if you're really intentional about curating it. And if you're not, there is some stuff on there that may not. So when we're really looking at cultivating our mind, really being mindful of our thoughts, especially right now, it's important all the time, but probably more so than now. Do you have any guidance for people? In terms of what kind of content do you consume? Like, especially with gratitude being such an important piece of this, how do you build a gratitude practice around living in the modern world where there's social media and news and 24/7 stuff vying for space and interjecting their own thoughts into your mind?
I think it's really important right now to not watch too much news. Obviously, we need to stay informed. I am an empath. I not only have my own feelings, I feel other people's feelings. So I've had to really protect myself during this time. And even though I'm protecting myself, I watch some of those news stories that are even feel-good stories that are people doing amazing, wonderful things in the world. I am like tears are rolling down my face, and my husband just looks over at me and he goes, "There's my girl. She's always having compassion for everybody in the world." I think a couple of things. So I try not to watch the news. I will watch it briefly in the morning and I will watch it briefly at night, maybe 5, 6 o'clock. I turn a lot of music on. Music makes me happy. I have a few really awesome people that I follow on social media. One of them is Ayanla Van Zandt, and she has been doing she calls it a non-virus episode, or she has a funny name for it, but she goes on for like 25 minutes and she is just like, get your clothes on, like get out of bed, like let's live your life. And she gives really, really great tools, and I like her personality. I know not everybody does, but you have to find the people that you resonate with. There's somebody out there for all of us. And there's this Benedictine monk called Brother David Stindl Rast. He has a website called gratefulness.org. He counted in the Bible how many times it says fear not. So he went through every single page of the Bible.
Wow.
And he counted when it said fear not. And think about that. If you go to church, or even if you don't go to church or you go to synagogue, you know that it says fear not in the Bible. It says it 364 times. That is once for every single day of the year. And Brother David is trying to tell us that, like, you can't stay in fear.
Yeah.
Fear, it will bring you to your knees. And I'm not saying you can't be fearful, because, I know people who are worried. I know people that don't have their jobs right now. I know people who are worried they're not going to have their jobs. I know people who are worried they're not going to have food to feed their children. There's a lot of things to worry about right now. So don't sit in fear. What can I do about it? What can I do to help eradicate that? What can I do to help others? I think that that's just super important. And, for me, like, I just feel like we're all born innately perfectly imperfect. And somehow over the years, we let opinions, really, family, friends, coworkers, social media, there's haters out there, let's face it. And we let their opinion determine if we're perfectly imperfect. But guess what? You get to decide every single day how you want to show up. It's absolutely a choice. It's all about you. And all of you are absolutely, I like to say perfectly imperfect, because nobody is perfect. I don't care what, but whatever we bring to the table, whatever we're here to do and to teach. I'm a teacher at heart. Like, I love to teach. I think knowing that it's your choice and to just try. And I mean, I have all kinds of tools that I use also to stay out of fear. But I love that the brother said, because it's like, if you have a fear, acknowledge it. It's real. Acknowledge it. Ask yourself, is this really happening? Or are you being fearful of something next week, next month, 6 months from now? If it's not really happening right now, it's like the, I forget what they call that, but something in their brain's just trying to mess with you, right?
Yes.
Like, these are, I'm giving really basic concepts right now because it's a quick call. But, if you have a toolbox, take the tools out. If you like to dance, put your favorite song on and dance around your house. If you like to meditate, sit and meditate. I personally I love crystals. So this is one of my favorite crystals. It's labradorite. I don't know if you can see it. Like, it's totally beautiful. And I wanted to read you the, it's useful companion through change, which we're all going through right now, right? It imparts strength and perseverance, and it balances and protects us. So crystals have real helpful qualities that actually can help you. Like, I mean, I can sit and hold a crystal and I can feel the amazing energy in it. Not everybody can feel that. That's okay. It doesn't mean it's not doing its work. Doesn't mean it's not doing its work.
In the last couple minutes we have left, Jacque, I wanted to ask you, as someone, a human being who's literally healed her heart from stress and the consequences of it, the person who's maybe listening to this right now and they're feeling some fear or they're feeling some stress, and they want to experience life without that, but they're not sure how. And up until this point, maybe they've been convinced that it was impossible until they met a woman that actually physically healed their heart. Maybe you could just speak to that person. So one of my intentions I hold for this show is that I believe that the person who needs to hear this, who needs to see this, is watching and listening right now.
Absolutely.
Right. And they are resonating with your story. They are saying, if this woman could literally heal her heart, defy medical expectations, medical journals, what could be possible for me? And I'm hoping that maybe in the last minute or so, you could speak to that person, just let them know what is possible for them beyond fear, beyond stress. What is possible for them when they do their own inner healing? and
Right.
what can life become for them?
I know it's scary to be in that place where you're in a lot of stress and you're in a lot of fear. Maybe you have other underlying medical conditions, but there's things that you can do. There's things that I did. Taking walks in nature, hugely healing. Just sitting quietly on a bench, looking at the ocean. Um, you have your whole life ahead of you. I mean, I literally thought I was going to die in that hospital room. I did. I thought I was going to die. Um, and I didn't. And I didn't because I was told that I have a bigger purpose. And I didn't know what the purpose was at the time, but the purpose was to get my message out, to heal my heart, and to get my message out, to spread the light, to help heal others. The world, there's a lot of pain in the world. I don't surround myself with pain. I have really wonderful friends who are super positive and doing a lot of work like you. Um, and but not everybody has that. And I understand how you're feeling because I was in a large room full of people that their friends and family had passed on, and they wanted to talk to them. And I was with this woman who was a medium, and I could literally not breathe. I know the pain you're in. I could feel the pain that these people were in. They actually had the ashes of their loved ones. 6 out of 8 of them had them with them on them. I don't know anybody that carries their loved ones' ashes, but maybe you do, and maybe you're feeling that way. And I was told by my guides and the universe that you don't have to feel that way. There's another side. You just have to get over the rainbow, and you have to learn the tools, and you don't have to do it alone. It's okay to put your hand up and have someone grab your hand and help pull you up and teach you the way so that you can live a better, healthy, happy life of your dreams. Life is not meant to be miserable and to be in fear. That's what Jesse and I are here to do. We're here to show you the way and to help you gain the tools and the knowledge um, to come out the other side as a really the true person that you were meant here to be.
Love that. Everyone, from the lady who healed her heart with love, light, and gratitude, I encourage you to rewatch this and pay attention. It's one thing to have tools and to speak from theory, education. It's another thing to put it into practice and to live it, and to live it to such an extreme where it's literally defying any sort of medical reasoning. And I think when those people come along, it's worth us taking pause and listening a little more closely. It's easy for us to discount sometimes the people where we say, well, they've had this privilege, this, or they had it this way, they had it this way. This lady literally healed her heart and defied. And the thing that she did, she focused on every single day was going within, loving on herself, finding the gratitude. So whether it's developing a daily gratitude practice for yourself, and it's 5 simple things or 5 different things or people or a combination of them, whether it's going within, whether it's looking at how you can move out of fear, and if that's putting on some fun music and dancing around, whatever it is, I think one of the things that Jackie really said here that's so important is that you were not born to be miserable and fearful. You were born to shine such a brighter light than you may be at this moment. And even if you're not in fear and you feel like you're already shining brightly, I think there's an opportunity here to go within and implement some of these practices. Maybe you can be a little bit more grateful. Maybe you can be a little less fearful. Imagine what your life could be like, your business could be like if you're 5% more grateful and 5% less fearful. It's those kinds of numbers, it's those kinds of metrics that really move the needle of what's possible and how extraordinary life can be. And I think Jackie's painted such a beautiful picture for us today of just how vast this realm of possibility is, from the lady who healed her heart to sitting in front of you all today from a place of love and gratitude. Jackie, I am deeply grateful for you sharing with us today, your light, your wisdom. This has been such a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I loved the time together.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time, everybody, on another edition of A Handful of Hope. Bye-bye.
Bye.